You may start.
Okay. Good day, everybody. Welcome to Life Sciences Grade 11. My name is Duduzi Lekubeka. We are continuing with the topic of human gaseous exchange. And then we'll do an activity today. Now, today, the main one we are trying to discuss, we'll start off with this transport of gases around the body. We've already discussed the transport of gases in the liver, I'm sorry, in the lungs and in the alveoli. So the transport of gases around the body, we've discussed how the gases get to your alveoli and then to your lungs. Then we mentioned that they are transported from the lungs to the blood, to the heart using the pulmonary vein, right? Now it's explaining exactly from the heart, then it would be pumped to the rest of the body. So now we're explaining that process. Oxygen is transported in the blood. Of the total, 98% is in the form of oxyhemoglobin found in red blood cells. Another way of transporting this oxygen around the body is through the oxygen being dissolved in the blood plasma. So there are two ways of transporting oxygen around the body. Through the blood, which is in the form of oxyhemoglobin found in the red blood cells, and then also through the blood plasma where it is dissolved and then it travels there. So here's the formulas to show you what happens exactly. You have hemoglobin plus oxygen. Now this needs to balance out the equation, right? Your reactants are hemoglobin and oxygen. Then the product is oxyhemoglobin, in which the oxygen is traveling around the body in this form of oxyhemoglobin. Then carbon dioxide is transported in the blood in three ways. Remember we mentioned the two ways of oxygen. Oxygen is transported in the form of oxyhemoglobin in the blood. Here, it attaches to hemoglobin. And then the other way is that it dissolves blood plasma, right? Then that's two ways for oxygen. But for carbon dioxide, it's three ways. It travels as bicarbonate ions, meaning 70% is through bicarbonate ions. The formula is here. It is carbon dioxide plus water. Then your products would be your hydrogen plus your HCO3, which are the bicarbonate ions there. Then what you have? You also have as carbaminohemoglobin. That is 23% of that carbon dioxide. It is hemoglobin plus carbon dioxide. Then that would form the carbaminohemoglobin, which is this formula here. Then the third way is it can also be dissolved in blood plasma as carbonic acid, 7% of that. So it's going to be carbon dioxide plus water, but here it would form carbonic acid. You see the formulas are the same here when it travels as bicarbonate ions or when it travels in the blood plasma as carbonic acid. The reactants are the same. It's carbon dioxide, water, carbon dioxide and water. The difference is the product, whereby here you have carbonic acid and here you have hydrogen ions and bicarbonate ions. So the difference here, you will note, with the bicarbonate ions and the carbonic acid is that this one has 2 hydrogen ions, this one only has 1. So that's really the difference here. But you see it balance out because you have 1 hydrogen ion and you have the bicarbonate ions there. But here you have carbonic acid. So please remember these formulas here. Then here with the carbaminohemoglobin, it is the hemoglobin plus carbon dioxide. But when it is oxygen binding with hemoglobin, it is oxyhemoglobin. So you note the differences there. I think if you are doing the physics and chemistry, then these are easy enough for you. But don't worry, don't stress too much about it. Just understand the formula, just understand exactly the reactants and the products that form. It will be easy, and understand the fact that it is transported in, carbon dioxide is transported in 3 ways, whereas oxygen is transported in 2 ways. And then gaseous exchange in tissues, how it happens in tissues. It's that due to respiration, cells continually need oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Remember, cellular respiration, the input is oxygen and the output is carbon dioxide. Blood transports the oxygen to the body tissues where it is used during anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is what? Remember, we discussed that as well. The concentration of oxygen becomes higher in the blood capillaries near the tissues, and so oxygen diffuses from the blood capillaries into the tissue cells. So this here happens in its gaseous exchange. You see, gases. So the diffusion, the process of diffusion occurs there from the blood capillaries into the tissue cells. So the whole part there is linked to cellular respiration. Remember when we started with the topic, we explained that these are connected terms. They are connected to each other. They're not the same thing, but they are connected to each other. So this is how they link up. It's due to the respiration whereby the cell continuously takes in the oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Then the blood will transport that oxygen to the body tissues where they are used during anaerobic respiration. The concentration of oxygen will become higher there in the blood capillaries. Then from the blood capillaries, it will diffuse into the tissue cells. So it happens through the process of diffusion over there. On the other hand, when it comes to carbon dioxide in the tissues there, the carbon dioxide that is in the tissue cells is higher than the blood capillaries. So it means in the tissue cells, there's more carbon dioxide than there is in the blood capillaries. Like in alveoles, gaseous exchange will happen again by diffusion. This time, carbon dioxide will diffuse out of the tissues into the blood capillaries. You remember with the diffusion process, it moves the particles. For diffusion, it is the particles that are moving from a high concentration to a low concentration. That is why, because carbon dioxide, there's higher concentration of carbon dioxide in the tissue cells. The carbon dioxide will move from the tissue cells where there's a high concentration to the blood capillaries where there is a low concentration. With oxygen again, when we discussed, there's a high concentration of oxygen in the blood capillaries. It will move from this high concentration to the low concentration, which is in the tissues. That's how diffusion works, remember? So that is what's happening here. Then now this carbon dioxide is diffusing out of the tissues and into the blood capillaries. Then the blood capillaries will then be in charge of transporting this carbon dioxide outside of the body. This deoxygenated blood is transported to the heart, then the lungs via the pulmonary artery. So we note the differences here. When you were taking the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart and then to the rest of the body tissues, it was traveling through what? Through the pulmonary vein. So the pulmonary vein was connected to the lungs. From the lungs, it would take the oxygenated blood, it would take it to the heart. Then the heart will pump it to the rest of the body. But now, when you take the deoxygenated blood, this deoxygenated blood is transported from these tissues, from all the rest of the organs in the body. That deoxygenated blood then goes to the heart through what we call the pulmonary artery. Then this pulmonary artery then will transport all this deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Then from the lungs, then it will be excreted by other means. I hope that is clear. Please be clear on the particular what's the artery, whether be clear of whether it's the artery or the vein that is doing the transportation. Artery here is carrying the deoxygenated. Vein carries the oxygenated. That is why you will notice in a lot of diagrams, arteries will be indicated by the blue color and the veins will be indicated by the red color. Blue meaning it's deoxygenated blood, red is oxygenated blood. Then how does gaseous exchange at tissue surface occur? How does it occur at tissue surface? This is what happens here. We've just discussed this. Let's see the labels here. You've got your red blood cells. This is your tissue cell. This is your tissue cell. You see the tissue cell. Remember when we mentioned tissue cell is a makeup of a lot of other cells. It's a combination. You see these are cells. Lots and lots of cells. They make up a tissue. Tissue cell there. This is the tissue fluid. This is the arteriole. There's high pressure over here. The part of the plasma that seeps out, it's over there. Tissue fluid that enters the capillary. That's the tissue fluid. It's the indication that it enters the capillary through this way. When there's low pressure and the venule outside there. And you see the change in color here. The red is the oxygenated blood. Then over there, the blue, as it gets blue, it's the deoxygenated blood. So in the tissues, there's more carbon dioxide than there is oxygen. So what happens when there is more carbon dioxide than there is oxygen? The carbon dioxide will move out of the tissue cell to the blood capillaries through diffusion. And then the oxygen will move from the blood capillaries into the tissue cells also through diffusion. So oxygen is going in, carbon dioxide will be going out. Going out, as you can see here, the different methods. I hope you understand this. I hope this is clear. And then there is the activity I wanted us to do. This activity over here is extracted from the Via Africa Life Sciences Learner's Book for grade 11s. So please, guys, who you are in class, do give me the answers in the chat box now. The table shows the composition of inspired air versus expired air. Analyze this data and answer the questions. You have gas here. This is the gas listed. Atmospheric air meaning the air you find in the atmosphere. So there'll be 79, it's indicated in percentage forms. There's 79% nitrogen in the air, there's 20.96% of oxygen in the air, and there's 0.04 carbon dioxide in the air. And then the air that you inspire, which is the air that you inhale or take in or breathe in. With nitrogen, there's 79 in the atmosphere, and you take in, you breathe in, or you inhale 79%. Then you exhale 79% still. So for nitrogen, there's no change. But for oxygen, there's 20.96 in the atmosphere, but you breathe in 18% only, and you breathe out 14%. Then there's a difference here, right? But with carbon dioxide, there's 0.04, and then the inspired air, the percentage, you inspire 3% of that. Inspire 3% of this, and you expire 7% of this atmospheric air. So you see the differences in numbers here. We are analyzing this data and answering the questions based on this. Number one, name one common gas which is not in the table and which is likely to be more concentrated in exhaled air than inhaled air. So please, guys, those in class, please, can we try it out? Let's answer. Give me in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak so we discuss this. Which one? What is this gas that we are asking about here? Are you going to at least try, guys? It's okay if you're not. We'll name one. The question is asking us to name one common gas. So think of the common gases that you know. Just think of the gases that you know, really. Name one common gas that is not in the table but is more likely to be, it's likely to be more concentrated in exhaled air than inhaled air. Let's get an idea when we go back to this one. Let's look at this one. Yes, the answer is here on the screen. Carbon dioxide is the one that is exhaled, right? Carbon dioxide is exhaled. Show me here. Which one is the product? Which one? Look at the gases that are here. How many gases? There are a few gases on this equation here. The answer is here. Okay, the answer is here on this first one. Now I'm giving you the answer. I'm pointing you to the answer actually. Okay, let's go. It's fine. It is hydrogen, guys. Hydrogen. Why I showed you this one here. Look, you have your hydrogen ion over there. So you see, there, hydrogen is a common gas. We know that. But it is not in this table here. And it is likely that it's more concentrated in exhaled air than in inhaled air. Why? Because we've seen here that that's why the chances are it can be, there's more concentrations of it in exhaled air because it is a product of the carbon dioxide binding with water there. So you would more likely exhale some of the hydrogen there because there's a product of the carbon dioxide, you see? So that's why we listed it. Also, there are two hydrogen ions there that are part of the carbonic acid. So you see, that's hydrogen. It's a common gas. Oh, I don't want to give you the second answer. Explain why there is no difference in the volume of nitrogen in inhaled and exhaled air. Let's look at the nitrogen. Nitrogen gas. In atmospheric air, there's 79% of nitrogen gas. And then in inspired air, there's 79%. Expired air again, there's still 79%. So why? Why do you think that it's like that? It's different for oxygen and carbon dioxide because there's a difference that you can note. But with nitrogen, there's absolutely no difference. Do you know what could be the reason for that? Let's try and think. Suppose this was your exam, what would you write in your exam? And remember never to leave an answer blank. Why? What do you think? Guys, let's talk. Please talk to me. I need to help you. So if at least try it out here. If you were to get this in an exam, what would you say? Let us help each other now. This is the one chance. Even if we are wrong, even if we get wrong answers, it's okay. We will fix it together. As opposed to coming across a question like this in a test and you have no one to help you. So we are doing this together right now. Why do you think with nitrogen, the same that you find in the atmospheric air is the same one that you take in, and it's the same percentage that you take out. Literally nothing is left in the body, nothing at all. Why? Should I put you on the spot? I think I'll put you on the spot. Guys, I don't know. Then let me give you the answer. That is because, guys, the body does not use or need nitrogen. Literally, it needs it for nothing. So what does it do? The same amount is exhaled as is inhaled because even if it gets inside the body, it doesn't need it for anything, so it comes out the way it was. Same way as if you don't need anything, you will, let's say you go to the shop to go shopping, you go to the mall, you want to do some shopping. You will find there are lots and lots of items there. But if you just go there to buy what you came for, like you go there, you're just buying oxygen and carbon dioxide only, and then you leave. You don't care for nitrogen, so you leave nitrogen the same way you found it. Even if it goes through your body, it will still go out. It will go in the same percentage, it will go out the same percentage because none of it was used in the body. You remember that? That's really how it happens. Nothing will just disappear. Everything is always accounted for. Even with the oxygen and carbon dioxide, the one that's inspired and the one that's expired, the difference here, it's the 18 minus 4. This 4% that is missing, there is a reason it's missing. It can be accounted for because it was needed in the body. It's used in the other organs, right? It's used for cellular respiration or other processes. It's used so we can account for that. But for nitrogen, you don't need it anywhere at all. That's why the same percentage that goes in will be the same percentage that will go out. And then question 3 is explain, oh, I don't want to show the answer. Explain why there is no difference. Okay, no, it's the same question. Explain the decrease in oxygen in expired air. I've just explained that one. Oxygen is needed by the body, so it will diffuse from a high concentration in inhaled air to the lower concentration in the blood. It is then used for cellular respiration in the cells. I've just explained this. You need oxygen in your body. So the one here that's missing, this 4 that is missing here from the 18 minus 4, is needed and is used in the body. It was broken down to provide energy and to perform other functions in the body. That is why only 14% is exhaled while 18% was inhaled. And then question 4, explain the increase in carbon dioxide in expired air. Why is there an increase in carbon dioxide? You only took in like 3%, but you are exhaling 7%. Why? Because carbon dioxide is produced as waste by the body. So carbon dioxide is produced as waste by the body. So when air is exhaled, the carbon dioxide diffuses from the higher concentration in the blood to the lower concentration in the inhaled air, and then it is exhaled. So there was already some bits of carbon dioxide in your body. So that one then moved from a high concentration in the blood to the lower concentration in the inhaled air, and then it is exhaled. That is why there is more carbon dioxide exhaled than there was inhaled. So it's always accounted for. And then question 5, calculate the difference between the inspired air and the expired air with regards to the oxygen concentration. So the difference, when you ask to calculate the difference, it means they're asking you to subtract. That's what the difference is the answer you get from subtracting. Remember this even in maths. The difference here is the difference between the inspired and expired air in oxygen concentration is, like I said, it will be the 18, let's draw it for you. It would be the 18 minus 4. 18 minus 14, man. 18 minus 14, which is equals to 4%. The difference is 4%. Okay, let's do it. We can either do it this way, 4%. But what are they saying? You calculate the difference between the inspired air and the expired air. So the difference is 4%. It went down. So that's why it's saying here a decrease of 4% because you inspired 18, but you only took out 14. That is why there's a decrease of 4%. You could also do it in reverse, whereby you'll say 14% minus 18, then your answer would be a negative 4%. that is still explaining the same thing. So here you'll write, you'll be clear that it is a decrease, or you will just state the negative 4%. I know this is it's maths, right? But yes, it's asked here, so you will need to answer it exactly that way. And it's for 2 marks. And then carbon dioxide concentration. The carbon dioxide concentration moved from when you inhaled 3%, and you exhaled 7%. So it's 3 minus 7. It will be 4%. Or you can say 7 minus 3, which is it's negative 4. 3 minus 7 is 4. 7 minus 3 is equals to 4. So how do you know which answer to use here? Do you take the negative or do you take the positive? Here is the question. The question wants to know the difference between the inspired air and the expired air. So it means the correct formula you need to use is the expired air subtract inspired air. Then you will find your answer. E is for expired, I is for inspired. So for both of them, expired air for the oxygen is the 14 minus 18. Then you will find your negative 4%. That is why we've written it as decrease of 4%. And then for the carbon dioxide, expired air is 7%, inspired air is 3%, so it's going to be 7 minus 3. It is equals to 4%, a positive 4%. Then your answer, that is why the answer there is an increase of 4%. So pay attention to the way the question is phrased. Note the difference between the inspired air and the expired air. So you want that difference. So the one that was written last, you take that one, you subtract the initial one, which is the inspired air, because you first take in the air, then you take out the air. You first breathe in, then you breathe out last. So that is why it is the expired minus inspired. That is how you do your calculations. And then you get 4 marks. Imagine 2 marks for the oxygen concentration, 2 marks for the carbon dioxide concentration. This is a typical question you can expect to find in tests and exams. And then continuing now with breathing center in the brain. The breathing center of the brain is located in the medulla oblongata region. It controls both the rate, which is how fast or how slow you breathe, and the depth, which is the volume of air that you take in. So we've been discussing the transport of gases. Now we are explaining the breathing center that occurs in the brain there. Breathing center of the brain is located where? Medulla oblongata. You will learn about homeostasis of and the negative feedback regulation of carbon dioxide and oxygen. Then you will see the role played by the medulla oblongata in that process. It controls what? It controls the rate, meaning how fast or how slow you breathe. The medulla oblongata also controls the depth, which is the volume of air that you take in. So you understand that our body really is connected. Your brain plays a part in your breathing and how fast you breathe and the amount you are able to breathe in. And then, like I've just mentioned, homeostatic control of breathing. Homeostasis is what? Is keeping a constant optimum state within organisms. So it's maintaining a balance. Like I was saying, if you have too much carbon dioxide in the body will react in a certain way whereby it's trying to lower those carbon dioxide levels in your body so that it's balanced. If you are, for homeostasis, I'm trying to explain the process of homeostasis. Let's say you are heating up, your body is overheating. Your body will also react in a certain way to ensure that it lowers the temperature levels on your body to bring it back down to its normal optimum state. If you have too high, your sugar content or sugar levels in your body are too high, your body will react in a certain way that it brings down those sugar levels. This also applies if you have too low concentrations of anything in your body. It will react in a certain way that it brings them up to a balanced, constant, optimum state. So that's what we mean by homeostasis. You maintain balance. So you see, like same way with you, it's a cold day, what do? You want to keep warm and wear very warm clothes. And then when the weather changes later on and it suddenly becomes hot, then the clothes you're wearing, the extra clothes you're wearing will feel too hot. Then you'll take them off to feel cool again. So that's exactly what happens in the body, just like that. But now in breathing, this is done by what? Via the special cells which are called chemoreceptors in the brain, aorta, and carotid arteries. You remember the aorta connects to the heart there, right? The main one that connects to the heart. So those are the chemoreceptors. It's the brain, the aorta, and the carotid arteries. These are sensitive to any changes of the carbon dioxide and pH levels of the blood. So if there's any change in carbon dioxide, which ultimately changes the pH level, it is sensitive to that. It will pick that up and it will react accordingly. If there's too low concentration, it will react. If there's too high concentration, it will react. The whole point is to keep the body at constant optimum state. That is the whole point of it. If it happens that the carbon dioxide levels increase, this is when you're exercising. You're exercising, then you have the carbon dioxide levels in your body have increased. Why? Because you're breaking down too much oxygen. During cellular respiration, a lot of oxygen is broken down, then now the end product will be carbon dioxide during exercise. So that's when more carbon dioxide levels would increase. And then what happens when the carbon dioxide increases? The carbonic acid changes the pH of the blood nerve message of the blood. Remember carbonic acid? You remember carbonic acid? It was when the carbon dioxide binds with the water. Remember that formula. I can go back to it. We showed you the different ways that carbon dioxide is transported in the blood. There you had H2CO3, right? If I'm not mistaken. H2CO3. H2CO3. That is the carbonic acid. This is what happens here. You have too much oxygen, carbon dioxide in the blood. The carbon dioxide levels have increased. When it binds with water there in the blood, what forms? Carbonic acid. It's one of the products that would form, right? The other one would be the bicarbonate ions, right? And then what happens here? This carbonic acid changes the pH level because it's acid. It means it will make it acidic. The pH level will decrease. Then nerve messengers are sent to the respiratory center in the medulla oblongata at the base of the cerebellum of the brain. So medulla oblongata is located at the base of the cerebellum of the brain. So if carbon dioxide levels increase, the carbonic acid changes the pH of the blood, meaning it lowers the pH, right? Then as soon as there's a change in the pH levels, what happens? These nerve messages will then be sent to the respiratory center in the medulla oblongata. Then the medulla oblongata will pick up that the carbon dioxide is too high. It will then send impulses to the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. These muscles contract to stimulate inhalation and exhalation. We discussed these muscles yesterday. Remember when we discussed the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm? So what happens then is that the medulla oblongata will send those impulses to the diaphragm and intercostal muscles to allow the muscles to contract to stimulate the inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation so that more oxygen can be taken in, exhalation so that more carbon dioxide will go out. The heart then will also start to beat faster. Why is the heart beating faster? So that it increases the inhalation of oxygen and the exhalation of carbon dioxide. This is what happens why when you're running or when you're scared, the heart beats very, very fast. It's a reaction. It's part of homeostasis control or homeostatic regulation. It's a form of a body of maintaining the balance, because as soon as the heart beats fast, then it allows the blood to pump faster. Then you increase inhalation, and then you also increase the exhalation of the carbon dioxide. This will continue until pH of the blood will return to normal. So you see how our body communicates, and it works just so beautifully in how it communicates with each other. It has this on lockdown, really understands what it needs to do, how it needs to be do it, how it needs to do it. So those things, those reactions shouldn't confuse you or surprise you anymore. So when your heart beats fast, maybe when you're running, now you understand why it's actually beating fast. You understand that? I hope we are still together and clear on this. I don't know if we still have time to discuss this or we can take over from it. Okay, we still have time. Name the muscles that make breathing possible. Please, please, guys, please. We just discussed this. Can you engage with me? Can you at least say hi so that I know you are hearing me? Please, all of you, say hi in the chat box or raise your hand just to see you are here and you are listening. At least just any form so that I know there's life in here. Anything at all to show me, give me a sign so that I know you are listening, you are hearing me. Do you at least understand? Just tell me anything. You can even just type a full stop at this point. I'm okay with that. I just want to know that you are here and you're listening and you're hearing me. Oh, please, please, talk to me. Whilst I wait for the responses, we'll do the question here. If we don't finish, then we'll finish up tomorrow. Ne? The muscles that make breathing possible. What are those muscles that make breathing possible? We have just discussed them here. The diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, they make breathing possible. And then give 2 ways oxygen is transported in the blood. What are the 2 ways that oxygen is transported in the blood? Can either be dissolved in the blood plasma or in the red blood cells where it attaches with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. So those are 2 ways, dissolved in blood plasma or in red blood cells attaches with the hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. Question 3, give 3 ways carbon dioxide is transported in the blood. We discussed this over there in the beginning. I'm going to take you to that slide so you can I can show you the formula once again. These are the 3 ways: as bicarbonate ions, whereby it's carbon dioxide binding with water to form hydrogen ion and the bicarbonate ions, or as carbaminohemoglobin, where it's hemoglobin plus carbon dioxide to form the carbaminohemoglobin, or when it's dissolved in blood plasma as carbonic acid. So you have carbon dioxide plus water, but this year it's dissolving, so you have carbonic acid. So those are the 3 ways in which carbon dioxide travels or is transported in the blood. And then 4th question, what is the name of the center that controls the rate of breathing, and where in the brain is it located? Medulla oblongata is that center, and it is located at the base of the cerebellum. This last question here is your homework. Briefly explain how breathing is controlled by the body. This is your homework. First thing tomorrow when we start, please provide me answers to this question here. Briefly explain how breathing is controlled by the body. So yeah, I'll finish off here today. I've given you homework, so maybe you'll respond to homework. Thank you so much for your attendance. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. If you have any questions and you're probably too shy in class, remember you are welcome to send me an email and I will respond to your emails. I really want to help you with your work. So if you have any questions further from this that you are too scared to raise or address in class, send me an email. I'm sending you my email address. Then we'll work through it together. Otherwise, that's it from me today. See you tomorrow, everyone. Bye.